Imagine for a second being threatened at gunpoint to write a letter to the governor to pass a law to help recruit men to fight an invading force of savages or people that widely be considered savages at the time. This was the French Indian War.
Keep left onto Fort Henry Road. In 1 mile, arrive at Fort Henry Road.
Here we are, your eye in the sky, looking for some history. This is Leighton Brush here speaking to you again about being a little corner. You may have been through here, you may not. You may not be from here, you may have never been anywhere near here. Today we're going to do some time traveling. Well, you get a better understanding for the way things are and why they are the way that they are, but you also get a better sense of compassion for people. That's what I experienced. It may not be the same for everyone. Here we are looking out over an area of Blue Mountains, and this is just outside of Bethel. During the French Indian War, which is what we've been interested in. The area was actually known as Millersburg rather than Bethel. So anyway, why are we going over this stuff? I mean, I'll tell you why, because history forms the basis for the world around us. It gives us street names on the map, boundaries on the map, names of the towns. Everywhere you go, there are names and markers that are delineations that give places their character. There are governments, there are people, there are churches, there are organizations, and all these things add to the character of a place. And without history, we won't understand the world around us as well as we could. So I think that there's value in that, and that's why I chose to talk about this. I think it's important to note that even though history may be reported by the winner, it may not always cover things in the most equitable light because of the nature of winners and losers. Stories are awfully sad. Some of the key players are the British, obviously, because they are, at this point in time, they are in control of the government. They have the capital in Philadelphia, which makes the governor at the time British. His name was Governor Morris. And he was working with someone by the name of Conrad Weiser, who we're going to talk a bit about. And he is a key figure because he acted as a diplomat between the tribes that were at war with the settlers. settlers were in this area were mainly German farmers. So we had a good mix of people involved here, the tribes. We'll talk more about them. The tribes involved were the Lenape, and the Iroquois. So there's different interests at stake, different types of relationships going on, which makes this an interesting hotbed for all sorts of conflict. Hence the need for building of forts. Hence the need for the building of Fort Henry. Fort Henry was part of a larger group of forts that were built along the Blue Mountains, commissioned by Benjamin Franklin and our friend Conrad Weiser. No evidence that it would ever existed, but there is a barn of sorts nearby, and this marker thing. It's rumored that it's made of the same stone. It's made of the same stone that comprised the old fort, and it was bigger than normal, bigger than most of the forts because of its nature, because of where it was located. And the location is important because it gave access to an Indian village to the northwest. To the northwest, there was an Indian village known as Shamokin, and that was just one stop
of many
on the way down from Canada. Like I said, the Indian tribes would come down as far as Canada, and during the time of the French and Indian conflict, they would attack the nearby towns, Lebanon, Reading, Lancaster, and even Philadelphia. So this may not have been a clearing in the mountains, per se, a pass, but there were trails that came through, which Native Americans would come down. There were all sorts of conflicts. Many of them were documented by Conrad Weiser. And that's Conrad Weiser, not Bud Weiser. Letters that he sent to the Governor Morris. So I mentioned Conrad Weiser, the diplomat, man, the myth, the legend. He was an important character because a person that could ease relations between the Native Americans and the settlers, or he could incense them. It was interesting how he sort of strode the line between a friend and enemy because of the nature of his relationship with the Iroquois Indians. You have to look at his past, his upbringing, to understand why he became friends with the Iroquois chief the way that he had. He was raised in upstate New York, where he got familiar with the Iroquois customs and ways. So that led to a relationship with the Iroquois that really couldn't be matched at the time. And I mentioned the Lenape tribe, as a result of the relationship that Conrad had with the Iroquois, it actually caused tension with the Lenape. Of course, they ended up uh, losing land rights and things like that that they felt that they would have had otherwise. The Iroquois were pro-British, and the Lenape were against the British, and they oftentimes ended up siding with the French. And there was a French and Lenape, a lot of raids that were involving French and Indian and Lenape specifically. In case anybody's wondering where I'm getting this information, I'll post links to the websites. A few points to mention. Some of the markings aren't where they used to be. I was able to see some of the signs that are still present online. Some of the markings have been removed for whatever reason, and you'll see that when you go to look. Another point to mention, the shape of the fort was rather unconventional based on my understanding from the research that I've done. Apparently it was the shape of a taco. Not only that, but the fort was originally, it started out as a watchtower that was constructed by the farmers in the area after the taxes had broken out at a place known as Dietrich Six's house. And once that happened, forces were drawn together. Conrad Weiser was alerted of the situation, and it was relayed through the letters that I mentioned before to the governor about what had happened. And oftentimes the letters were a simple plea for help, for resources, for guns and ammo. And the people at the time were extremely desperate. They were going through very hard times dealing with these Native Americans. He even mentioned in one of his letters that some of the settlers had threatened him at gunpoint to relate to the governor that he needed to pass laws to recruit forces to fight the Indians. The Native American invaders were known to scalp men, women, children, they would kidnap people, they would carry them off as prisoners of war, they would do anything they could to eliminate their enemies and drive them off of the land that they considered to be sacred. So the more you read, the more you find out about the atrocities that were taking place. But it's important to note that the attacks were happening on both sides, especially as the war proceeded and as time went on. The settlers would venture off into the woods and continue hunting to lands that they weren't actually supposed to be hunting in, and they would encroach upon the Native American land as well. So the attacks went both ways. That about wraps it up for this week's aerial view of history from above Lake Brush. Glad we could convey an important message to everyone out there that history is still alive today. There are things, people, and forces at work. We should all try stay alert. I'm gonna go take a nap.